Hey, this is Mayweather from the National Wrestling Alliance, and you're looking at, well, it depends on when you watch this, I guess, the future or the current NWA National Champion. You're tuned in to the Battleground Podcast with my boys, Battle and Eli.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome into the Battleground Podcast. Of course, you know that this week is NWA TakeOverrr week. Of course, every day this week, we're going to have somebody from the NWA on. I'm going to bring my tag team partner in, Eli. Eli, it's been fun so far this week. Of course, yesterday we talked to the NWA Heavyweight World Champion, Trevor Murdoch. And a guy today that we have on is, we can say he's a friend of the show. He's been a former guest. I would say that he's probably been the most frequented guest on this show, correct?
I think he's in the lead right now, yeah.
And I mean, we know him as Crimson, but the NWA knows him as Mayweather, and he is joining us right now. My man, Mayweather, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, fellas? Glad to be back. It seems like it's been a while, man.
It
talked
has.
about being a frequent guest and friend of the show, but I feel like it's been some time since the last time I got an invite, fellas.
I mean, you got Money Mayweather over there, and we had to change some things, of course. We had some new things going on. And let's just go ahead and address the elephant in the room. At the beginning of it, I said we know him as Crimson. NWA fans now know you as Mayweather. Where did things kind of go from I'm no longer Crimson, I'm now Mayweather?
Well, I can tell you that it stemmed from a nice little chat I had with my good friend Nick Aldis in front of the whole world, where he basically said that I need to get my head in the game. I wasn't closing, I wasn't winning, had me questioning everything, my self-worth, value, what good I was to the NWA. And you know, a lot of things that he said made sense. If I can't win, what good am I, type of thing. So, you know, I was on a bit of a losing streak. So I think, you know, why try to continue something that isn't working? If it's not working, you got to fix it. And what better time than now than to hit the reset button, start fresh, go down a new path, and start winning again, start closing deals. So I'm going to start closing deals under my real name, my legit name, Mayweather.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously the last year has been crazy for everyone, but I mean, we saw that the team of you and Jax kind of disintegrate. You know, what was your thought process leading into, I guess it was back to Any Means Necessary back in October. You guys had your big blowout match. Yeah, I mean, how would you describe the last year? I mean, you had, you know, you started off solid and then you had that partnership fall apart and now you've got your new moniker. I mean, there's been a lot going on. Like, what would you describe your 2021 as?
Well, I feel like the word disintegrate is treading lightly, because I see it more of an implosion.
Yeah, there you go.
It's been a crazy ride, a crazy year. And, you know, it was one of those things where I can't tell you what Jax Dane's motives were besides selfishness and ego. But at the end of the day, we've been tagging together for 5 years. And, you know, I keep telling everybody this. Yes, we had a decent run, but was it as successful as I wanted it to be or I planned for it to be? No. You know, we didn't reach tag team championship status in the NWA, and there's many other promotions that we wanted to achieve that level, but we never did. And, you know, despite whatever his motives were for being a scumbag and stabbing me in the back, at the end of the day, I think it was the best thing to do, because, you know, again, if something's not working, you can't just continue down the same road, the same path. You got to change things up. And I was doing all I can to give the tag team as much opportunity to have success as I possibly could. So if I was pulling my weight, that means somebody wasn't. At the end of the day, Jax Dane had to go.
And you would think a big boy like that could pull his own weight.
You'd think, but you know,
well,
he's got a big head, and you'd assume he had a big brain in there, but there's a lot of wind whistling around.
Yeah. This is kind of piggybacking off that, and this is kind of a, you know, more speculating, I guess, if you probably didn't have a conversation with him, but obviously we lost a huge titan of the industry, Animal, and you guys had a really good relationship with him. We were lucky to talk to him before you guys' event in Gallatin, Tennessee. He was in this on the phone, and we got to hang out with him backstage. Jax is, a lot of this stuff between you guys happened after he passed. I mean, do you think it might have been a acting out because of the, loss of an influential person, or is that speculating, or?
I mean, that's a good point. And, and like you said, though, unfortunately, I haven't had that conversation. I mean, legit, the guy went from my most trusted friend one day to attacking me from behind in St. Louis on one of the biggest stages I've ever been on before. And, I think that obviously that lack of direction that used to come from Animal is probably played a part in him trying to figure out himself and where his, what his next steps were.
Where he needs to go.
Yeah,
Right,
so
sure.
I think that's a great, valid point, and that it's sad to think about. It's sad to talk about, man, because Animal was, he's a legend.
Mm-hmm.
He was a great inspiration and motivator for us, and we, again, we wanted to achieve a level of success that we hadn't yet, and we thought that with Animal leading the charge, me and Jax were going to get it done, and it was just one of those situations in which he was taken too soon from us.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Eli were sitting there, and I was scrolling through Twitter one day, and when I saw that news, I was like, this has got to be fake. Like, nobody, like,
yeah,
you see a lot of these hoaxes on there, and you're like, but he's like a god in a way, kind of.
Yeah.
And it's like, that guy's never supposed to die.
right, indestructible,
And pass away. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I was just like, we literally just had him on not too long ago, and I was like, this can't be happening. Like, this isn't true. You never want to see your heroes pass away.
Yeah,
And especially with you guys, y'all did events together, and I'm sure he passed on knowledge. So yeah,
we feel like that was a hard blow, hard hit, and we thought we were just getting some traction, with Animal, and trying to navigate through the COVID times and everything else. Just one thing after another, man, and it's unfortunate.
And you talk about just about getting there right where you need to be, and I believe that this Saturday is going to be somewhere where you need to be. Of course, the national championship is on the line at NWA Power Trip when you are taking on the masterpiece Chris Adonis in Oak Grove, Kentucky. Which, by the way, tickets still available. NWATix.com. How do you go into this match, because you kind of know a little bit about Adonis, but like, how do you prepare for this? Because I mean, you've had other matches, again, tag team falling short. Now you're in the singles run.
Yeah, especially with it being in your backyard.
Well, listen, Eli, you were there last time. We were in Oak Grove, and that was a big grudge match. That was the night I was supposed to take care of business, as far as ending the bitter rivalry that Jax and I turned into. I had my 9-year-old son, backstage with me, hanging out the whole day. And that was supposed to be not only, I don't know, retribution for me, but it was a life lesson for my son as well, taking care of bullies, standing up for yourself, not allowing yourself to be walked all over and taken advantage of, and it didn't end how I intended it to end. He left me laying in a cage, and, I lost at the end of the night. So that was a huge, huge blow right there. And I hit on it earlier. It's if things aren't working, you gotta change. We gotta evolve or die, and that's just it, man. It's do or die this Saturday for me. And there's not, look, it ain't about preparation. I stay prepared. I stay ready for anything and everything. But after that pep talk from Nick Aldis, man, there was a flip that switched in my head, and it's if you show up, you get it done, or you go home. And I refuse. My time's not up. I refuse to fade away. So at the end of the day, it's do or die for me on Saturday. I've got everything on the line. And I think, I think Adonis has been in cruise control. You saw him out in my match against Marche Rocket, him and Tom eating popcorn, joking around, and having a good old time, man. That's been his attitude backstage in front of the camera. Week after week after week, he's on cruise control. He hasn't had a formidable opponent in front of him in a long time.
Yeah.
So I think it's an opportunity for me to step in there and test him. Not only test him, but take that title.
And I think, I mean, we have a pretty good track record on this show that a lot of people that have come on this show that are going up for that title goes on to win the title.
That's good news. Even better odds. I like that.
we have some good stuff. I mean, let's see the track record. Who do we have that has done pretty good? Let's see. PCO was went on to win the title.
Nice.
Had a couple of the guys from WWE go on to win the title. AEW going on to win the title. I mean,
FTR, we interviewed FTR like a month before they won the AEW tag team titles.
So I'm going to go ahead and say it that after this Saturday, we're going to be posting a photo on our Instagram, which, by the way, at Battleground Podcast, if you want to follow us, we're going to be posting and new national champion Mayweather.
And it'll probably be a picture coming from my phone because
it's going to be coming from Eli's phone. And then when that happens, we have Mayweather in the actual studio so we can take a photo with that belt like we've done in the past. And all is right in the world after Saturday. And Adonis can go on to do whatever he wants, cry, soak. I don't care what he does. He's going to walk out the loser.
Hit the flexes and, whatever.
Something's going to happen, but he ain't going to win Saturday night.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I appreciate it. That's good. That's good stats to know. They're in my favor.
Yeah. Let's talk about Tried and True for a second. It's really awesome. The Tried and True Academy and NWA have done some pop-up shows in the past. Arguably a huge one, had brought in David Arquette. It was a big thing. But now we're starting to see some of the students appear on NWA. So it's pretty cool. We're bridging that thing. Is there anything kind of exciting for 2022 we can look forward to as it pertains to Tried and True?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think this event coming up this Saturday, Power Trip Oak Grove, this is kind of be, in my opinion, if you ask me, this could be the launching point in which we start to go out and explore other live events, other areas, other regions to go into and do pop-up events like we've been doing in the past. Mm-hmm. I think, the success of the last Oak Grove show with By Any Means Necessary, and hopefully we have a huge turnout and a greatly successful show on Saturday for Power Trip. I think this could be the launching point in which we get out there more. And that's what I think needs to happen. We need to get out there. We need to do more live events. And that's my bread and butter. I love the live event, the promotional aspect of wrestling. Yeah. So be able to partner up with the National Wrestling Alliance and promote these live events together. It's been a great opportunity for me and nothing but fun. So I look forward to more opportunities partnering together with them and supporting them in their events and things like that. And, like you mentioned before, the Tried and True Academy, we've, Mims was my first student to walk through the doors in 2018 when we first opened up the Academy. And now he's, in my opinion, one of the top breakout stars in the NWA of this year and last year. I mean, he's killing it. He's killing it right now.
Yeah. Who did he face at Any Means Necessary? Was it Zion? Was that him?
Zion, yeah. The match.
They had a banger. Like that's 25 minute match. I text Battle like, dude, like these guys are going at it.
Yeah.
That was a huge test for Mims, and I was really proud.
At
the end of the day, at that night, because Zion, he's legit.
Yeah.
I questioned him when he came. I was his first opponent when he came into the NWA, and I underestimated him a bit. Right. But he's physical, he's rough, he's tough, man, and he gave it to Mims, but Mims gave it right back.
Yeah.
We've seen Freeman show up in the ring.
Alex Taylor.
I
mean, I sit here and I look at these and I'm like, I watch these guys at the Tried and True showcase in that little event hall where the one side of the ring is backed up to the window. And I was worried. I was like, if somebody takes an Irish whip run wrong way, they're going through that window. And like to see your students showing up on NWA, showing up in all these big promotions. Like I follow Rush and I'm going to go say, and I'm going to, I guess, inflate his and Alex's ego a lot. I think that they're going to be a breakout. I like them as a tag team. I think they're going to be a breakout tag team to watch in 2022. Now I'm going to get Alex probably to text me as soon as he sees this because he's like, oh, you didn't have to put me over. But okay, that's what's going to happen. But I think that, seeing your students, and I've watched them, seeing your students go from here to here, that's got to be a good feeling for you as not only as a mentor, a teacher, and it goes to show that the Tried and True Academy is there.
And that legitimizes the whole process, man. And that's what I've been telling these guys from day one. And, you know, guys like Mims, he started with me, you know, 6 years ago or so when we first started running live events, because the live events came before the school. Even though I wanted to do it the opposite way, I wanted to open the school, then start doing events, just didn't work out that way. But he's been with me since the beginning. And, you know, he's been one, you know, that's a long time to be trusting the process, right? And I would tell these guys, like, trust the process, train hard, work hard, show up, be a part of everything, and your opportunities will come. So now that it's coming full circle for guys like Mims and Alex and Rush Freeman and Miguel Robles is starting to get some opportunity too. He's been around since the beginning as well. I mean, now that these guys are finally starting to get these opportunities with a major promotion on television, that's not only, you know, gratifying for me as a mentor and a coach or whatever, but it's got to feel amazing for them because they put in the effort, they busted their asses for me, for the company, for NWA, year after year after year, to finally be rewarded with the opportunity that we've been preaching the whole time is just an amazing thing. So, I mean, I can't be more grateful than I am for Billy and his, you know, him trusting us and trusting the guys and trusting everything.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's got to be a big, like, vote of confidence when he trusts, like, okay, bring your students on, you know?
Exactly.
Oh, you want it? I was going to jump in. Okay. So we asked Mr. Murdoch this, and we'll just get your opinion. So the last, I'd say year, NWA's really kind of like came out of the COVID hibernation or whatever you want to call it. The women's division has been killing it the last 6 or 7 months. Mickie James came on board, brought some of her famous friends. NWA Empower, the Hex women's tag team champions. We also have the Crockett Cups next month in Nashville. Stoked about that. The junior heavyweight titles coming back. I mean, NWA is really starting to fire. What do you think? What do you think needs to happen to really turn the corner and really kind of bring back the NWA, really to get it back? I'm trying to think of the way to word it, to get the most eyes on it. I mean, is there anything else you think that the NWA really could do to stand out? I mean, you've got the niche of the traditional, you know, the studio wrestling, and obviously it's resounding. I mean, I love it. I love watching it. Also the new NWA USA show that's debuted recently. But what do you think could happen that really could, like, kind of turn the corner? Is it bring in new talent? Is it bring in, you know, the hot free agents? Is it going on tour? Like, what do you think could really kind of turn that corner?
Well, I think that we've come out of these COVID times with that in mind. And, you know, Billy Corgan is one of the smartest guys I've ever been around and most creative guys I've ever been around. And, you know, he knows what he's doing. He's got a plan. He's got a vision. He's going to execute. There's no doubt in my mind. And, you know, I think the biggest thing that we could have done to get that attention back on the brand is bringing the show, the original show, NWA Power, back to YouTube for free to viewers. And that's something that they worked out with Fight TV to just recently be able to do. So I think that was the first step in regaining that momentum that we had before COVID. And I think that, you know, the next step would be, like I hit on earlier, is getting back out there to different regions and start touring the country and doing live events and pay-per-views across the country. And I know, you know, that's in the process, in the works as well. So I think a combination of those two, and obviously bringing in fresh talent, you know, maybe, you know, whether it's guys with, you know, top name value, main event name value, bringing those guys in, like we got Matt Cardona coming into Oak Grove, Kentucky Saturday. That's huge. That's huge.
Oh yeah.
So things like that, as well as growing your own talent. And I think that's going to be key too. And that's, again, where, you know, my students come into play as well, as like guys like Mims. They haven't been overexposed on any other brand or product before. So to be able to bring guys like him in and bring them up through the National Wrestling Alliance and watch for somebody to watch them grow, excel, and, you know, develop over the years is something special too that they can latch on to. So I think right now the pieces are moving in place to really be able to turn that corner and get the momentum back and just finish the year strong, or proceed through the year strong and finish strong, obviously.
Definitely. And of course, that change of pace begins this Saturday when you become the national champion. After you beat Chris Adonis this Saturday, because I got to tell you, when we were talking about this and NWA started bringing belts back, and of course, as you could tell, we're big belt guys. It was kind of one of those ones, okay, you had the 10 pounds of gold, but what's the next belt that's coming back? And then when all of a sudden, the national championship belt came back, and, the tag team belt came back, and then the women's tag team belt came back. It was like
TV title. Yeah,
everything coming back. And it was like taking you back to your childhood watching NWA. Mm-hmm. Is there any, and of course with the junior heavyweight championship back, is there any, like, I guess, behind the curtains of any other belts that could be possibly making a comeback or throwing out there that you know of?
Well, I'll be honest, and I haven't heard any rumblings about any other titles coming back. So that's above my pay grade, obviously. But that was exciting news to hear about the junior title. I mean, that's huge. I think that that's going to bring a lot of exciting, new, fresh talent, faster pace. Still, in my opinion, we still got to have that hard hitting action, because that's what the NWA is all about.
Definitely.
But that's going to be a new twist onto the National Wrestling Alliance that I'm looking forward to.
And I mean, some of the names that held that belt, I mean, geez, I mean, it's not it's not like a third tier title. I mean, there's some major names that have held that belt. I want to get your opinion about something. Chris Jericho was on another podcast. He's got his own podcast, but he's on a different podcast. And he commented on, he loved WWE, but he said that they have a problem building new stars. And I think that's true. I mean, you look at it, they're always having to bring in. NWA has done a really good job of, even going back before, you had Ricky Starks that was his first kind of national exposure that I was aware of. Ziggy Dice, Thunder Rosa, Camille. There's no problem there. What do you think that, I guess it's maybe a two-part question. Why do you think some companies struggle with new talent, and why do you think Billy Corgan and the NWA have had such success?
In my opinion, it's easy. You Billy and the other people behind the scenes, they'll see somebody, they'll either like them or not like them and want to push them or whatever. They'll want to give them opportunity, let's say, and they're going to throw them out there. They're bringing in guys that are ready, essentially. And if they're not ready, that's going to be exposed, right? So what's the environment that they're getting pushed out into? Live studio audience in a podium with Kyle Davis, an interviewer, right?
Yep.
So they get the opportunity to not only just come out there and show themselves to the world, but also be able to speak and tell the people who they are, what they're about, and what they're here to do. That's not a lot of opportunity that other people get in other companies.
Yeah,
right?
Especially for not scripted too.
Right. I mean, you just go out there and you cut promos, you sink or swim, because there's not this. It's not an overly scripted or produced show. Like, here's who you're going to be wrestling. Here's the angle. Whatever. Go out there with Kyle and talk.
Yeah,
and that's the freedom that we're allotted in NWA, and that's not what a lot of people get elsewhere. So I think that's huge. Not only that, but I mean, just the focus alone on individuals and angles. I think a lot more focus on what we're doing as far as that goes, and creative storytelling as well. And that's just my opinion, but I think that's what's working for us and separating us.
Right. And I think that's the thing that we as wrestling fans gravitate towards, because you could watch the other products here and there and you could tell what's scripted, what's not scripted. And we had Billy on not too long ago, right before, NWA 73. And we kind of asked him the same question about the promos. And he's like, there's no promo. Like, we don't tell you what to say. We don't tell our people what to say. Mm-hmm. We give them the finish line and say, however you get here, that's the thing. And that's
here's a couple talking points. Go do it. Yeah. And it's kind of interesting, because some people thrive the other way. Some people thrive where it's like, here's what you have to say, memorize it. And they're like, oh, not everybody can though. I mean, some people, they just want to, freedom of flowing and just do it.
That's what the NWA was all about back in the day. Their promos,
without a doubt.
the Rhodes promos, Magnum T, like all those guys, man. It was just go out there and you felt what they were saying because it was real, it was legit, it wasn't overly produced or scripted. Like those guys, they were speaking from the heart, and I feel that's the same opportunity that we're all getting at the NWA nowadays too.
Yeah, I mean the whole idea of scripted promos, that's relatively new. I mean, that's in the last 15 or 20 years. It's like a Vince McMahon thing, really. So anyways, let's talk about something else. NWA All Access, that is launched with Fight TV. You can do what is it,
$49.99 a year.
Oh, so. 50 a year, or you pay monthly and it ends up being 60 a year. But that's all the pay-per-views, that's all the powers, that's all the USA. What question can I ask with that? Just tell people to sign up. Like, what's
listen, All Access was something that again, Fight TV and Billy Corgan worked out to be able to provide a nice lower tiered price point that would allow a fan to get legitimately all access to everything we've got. So I think that was a really big deal for Fight to agree to do that. So I hope people are taking advantage of that, because that's what are pay-per-views costing these days? I mean, at least minimum 20 all the way up to like $40-50 or something like that. So I mean, you pay $50 annually, you get all of our pay-per-views, all the power episodes, all the special broadcasts, like we're doing in Oak Grove with Power Trip, that'll be recorded for special broadcasts to air on Fight TV. So you get all of that for one low price, man. It just makes sense to do it. And
right.
If you're not subscribed already, go do it now.
Yes, definitely.
And they're always, I mean, before COVID, there was like, what was it, Carneyville? And I mean, they're the 10 pounds of gold YouTube series. I mean, there's always content that's going to be added. So I mean, like,
for sure. And that's something that's been perpetual with NWA, is always just kind of having ideas churning on what's the next content we could create and put out. So that's something to expect as well, as new content being created and new shows being added on the regular. So definitely worth the price. I mean, $50.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. I had another question if you didn't, Battle.
Yeah. So the thing that I was going to ask was, the one thing that we've noticed about NWA, and it goes to show how dedicated the fans are, how dedicated the people in the audience are. You could do these tapings like when you did it at the Chase in St. Louis. You did the weekend of tapings after NWA 73. Not one thing leaked about the tapings. Not if some like a surprise thing happened, none of that stuff. And I think that shows some respect for the fans, that they don't want to spoil it. And how does that make you guys feel as a company that you're not worrying about stuff getting leaked to the dirt sheet?
Yeah, they're there with you.
What's hitting the dirt sheet is the recap of what happened after the show that night.
Yeah, no, I think it's a cool thing to see, especially today's today's era of fans or whatever is the loyalty that they have to the NWA. Our fans, like a lot of the fans that you see on the screen or in the audience, I mean, they're traveling to all the shows that we produce.
Yeah.
So the level of loyalty is off the charts, and that, I mean, the level of respect, I would assume, is too. So I appreciate the NWA fans more than anything. I mean, it's refreshing to see that, when nowadays, everybody wants to be a part of behind the scenes or be the first one to spoil what happened, what happens next. And, it's not like that. It's a different vibe.
Yeah.
With the NWA. And I greatly respect and appreciate our fans.
Yeah. So this will be kind of a bittersweet question. We asked Billy this before NWA 73. So not only the wrestling world, but obviously the NWA had a huge, massive loss when Josephus passed away. He was a friend of our podcast. We met him when we talked to Billy. He was actually filming some stuff for the NWA.
You should totally ask Eli about his first encounter with Josephus at the radio station.
So this was like the same year that he fought Arquette and he lost his hair. And I'd already reached out to him about coming on the show, and we were gonna do it. And then in between there, Billy was free, so we got him in. Well, he showed up, and I didn't recognize him. So
Josephus was there filming everything, and I knew it was
and
him.
he even introduced himself as Joe. So I was like, okay, what's up? And we talk, and we're doing everything. And when we're done, Billy's like, well, thanks for this. And I was like, dude, we're massive fans of the NWA. Anything we can do to help? We're actually talking to Josephus next month. And he turned around like, really? I'm like, what?
And I agree to this. And then Eli's eyes got super big.
I was like, dude, I didn't recognize you with your haircut, man.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And it's funny. I don't know if there's a movie theater in Hermitage called Full Moon Cineplex, and they show like a lot of retro, like 80s horror movies and all that kind of stuff. Well, the owner of the company was in the NWA like 20 years ago. He was actually the NWA hardcore champion, which I didn't even know NWA had a hardcore title, but anyways, but he was friends with him, and that's kind of how we met up and everything. But we were friendly after we interviewed him. We kind of stayed in touch and stuff. But anyways, massive loss, huge loss for the NWA. How do you bounce back from something like that, especially with him? I mean, he had a lot of hats. He did a lot of things behind the scenes. Obviously, he fought Tim Storm for the world title. He was involved with David Arquette. I mean, he's had a really big history within the NWA.
Yeah, and Josephus, he was such a on a different level than most people.
Mm-hmm.
Just in general, and then creatively speaking as well. I mean, he had such
very intelligent.
Yeah, and such a great mind overall, and for wrestling. He brought a lot of unique attributes to the table when it comes to wrestling as well. Mm-hmm. And I had some when I first launched the Tried and True Pro live events. I mean, Josephus, he was my monster villain. I mean, he was like, when I was just kind of storyboarding, like, all right, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do these events? And, we're not doing weekly shows or even monthly shows, but I want some reoccurring, people featured. And he was my top pick as like the bad guy, the top villain. Yeah. He came in and he had kids in tears. I mean, he had people believing. I mean, like, and it brought so many emotions out of our fans from everything he was doing with Tried and True. And we ended up becoming really good friends throughout the process. And he was actually one of my favorite feud. I mean, he was my feud there in the beginning for TNT when Sam Shaw broke off and won the TNT title. Mm-hmm. I broke off and feuded with Josephus, and that was some of the most memorable and fun times for me because he's such a character and brought so much to the table. And he did a lot for NWA, and Billy, he's good friends. He was good friends with Billy, and I know he did a lot behind the scenes that not a lot of people know about. And it's definitely been a tough loss. I mean, I remember having I faced Nick Aldis for the title a few years ago, and I being a part of the 10 Pounds of Gold series, intertwined with Josephus and his spiritual advisor. It was some of the most weird stuff I've ever done. In terms of wrestling, promos and vignettes and things like that. But it was also like the first time I'd got to explore anything beyond what I've been pushed to do before, which is like with Impact and TNA, just, this monster ass kicker, whatever. Like, so this was some different stuff working with Josephus on some of these vignettes and things. So it was really cool for me to break out of that one-dimensional typecast that I was in. So, I mean, it's obviously been a tough loss, to not have Joseph around. And he's such a great human being. He's one of he's, especially in wrestling and other forms of entertainment, I'm sure it's like you don't come across really genuine, good people too often. And he was definitely one of them. And he's sadly missed, man. And I'll be honest, Eli, I saw him at the Crockett Cup after he lost Arquette and had his head shaved, and I at first I didn't recognize him either. And
it's funny how like something becomes the trademark. It's almost like people make fun of like when Clark Kent does that, but then they'll show people with like their hairstyle different, and you can't even recognize them at all. But and it's also funny, like you said, like that Monster Hill. He went on to play Bruiser Brody on the Dark Side of the Ring, and they sent out a nice tribute about him as well. So he could tap into that when he needed to, And I thought the pairing of him and his spiritual advisor was just incredible. You know, it was kind of a Bray Wyatt thing, but definitely more like cultish and more like bring up, you know, I need followers. I mean, it was really fascinating. She had an incredible look, and yeah, it was just, man, we were punched in the gut when we found that out.
Yeah, they were really tapping into some cool things there. And I'll always have the vision of him walking down, I guess it was in LA maybe, where he had the stars on the ground, and he's in a white suit with aviators and a yellow boa constrictor around his shoulders. I mean, like that stuff right there, man. The dude was such a unique individual, man. Like,
yeah,
never forget that.
And I gotta say, when he did question mark in there, like everybody knew it was Josephus.
Yeah,
when he did it.
They were just playing it. They were playing.
Like
with
we
it.
had him on when that character started happening, and we were joking around with him. He's like, "It's that's you, isn't?" He's like, and I was like, "So you basically just did." You know, question mark to us saying it was you. But I mean, I that was probably one of the most over NWA characters that we saw, because everybody loved question mark. And I got to say,
really cool to hang the flag up in the studio.
Yes.
That was just an awesome tribute.
That was an amazing thing. And, you know, we don't want to take up too much of your time, because you got a big match on Saturday against the masterpiece, Chris Adonis. Of course, national championship on the line, NWA Power Trip in Oak Grove at Valor Hall. Still grab your tickets right now, NWATix.com. Real quick, Mayweather, before we let you go, what is one thing you want to tell people? Do you want to talk smack about Adonis? We're giving you the podium. This is kind of like the Battleground podcast podium.
Yeah.
The Battleground podium. Well, look, Jax Dane is being left in the dust. He had his little weasel process server serve me notice. There's order protection out. So, forget Jax Dane. We're done. We're moving beyond that. Okay. Next in sight is Chris Adonis, the masterpiece. He's on cruise control, and I'm here to knock him off the road, man. That national title is coming home with me on Saturday. There's no doubt in my mind. And if he gets me in that master lock, bro,
there's no chance in hell that
you ain't holding that.
No.
Post surgery, man, you're doing good. You're we can tell you've been getting them reps in, and
I'm feeling better than ever. Better than ever.
It's like you said, though. I mean, once he got aligned with Strictly Business, it's kind of I can kind of see what you're saying about the cruise control. You know, he's not looking in the rear view at all for anybody. He's just like, I'm the champ, and I mean, it's the whole Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas. You know, I mean, he wasn't ready and he got knocked out.
That's it. That's all it's going to take is 3 seconds, man. He's having a good time. He's having a lot of fun with Tom Latimer out there, but he's not going to be having fun at the end of the night on Saturday. I'm telling you right now.
His luggage is going to be a little bit lighter on that plane ride home. Well, Mayweather, again, thank you so much for being on the show today. Of course, NWA Power Trip is this Saturday at Oak Grove at Valor Hall. Details, tickets, everything you need to know, NWATix.com. And again, it's an honor to have you on Saturday. Once you win that title, we'll get you in the studio so we can take a photo with that nice belt. And we're looking forward to Saturday.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks, fellas.
Thanks, bud.